Let's move on to the third principle, which is the learning environment is culturally and personally inviting. So this is about the environment we create in our classrooms as well as in our schools. So it's about school culture, it's about the visuals, it's about what people see when they come in your room or when they come in the school, enter that office space or the gymnasium or the cafeteria. What do people see? And I think the colloquial phrase that I like for this one is that from a student's point of view is school looks like me. So if you're talking about a kindergartner coming in, my granddaughter Mina, when she goes to her school, which is a multiracial, multicultural school, she walks in immediately and there's Native American images, there's cultural diversity, there's pictures of kids of all different races and cultures, nationalities, there's language differences being spoken. You can't move into that school more than about 30 seconds without getting that feeling that diversity lives here and it's honored. And that's what we're talking about. And think about your school as well. Some of the counter examples that can happen with this one are when we don't pay attention to what's visually in our classroom or the environment we're creating. One example was a middle school honors science class I was in, and the teacher was doing an excellent lesson, very diverse group of kids, which was good to see for an honors class to have Black, Latino, white, Asian kids all together in a middle school honors science class. But when I looked around the room, the pictures of scientists doing science were all white people. They were men and women, so we had gender diversity, but not racial. And so I mentioned to her afterwards that you might want to have the visuals in your room reflect who is in your room. And it was kind of a no-brainer for her. It was kind of, oh, I never thought of that. It wasn't that she was necessarily not honoring the cultures of the kids. She hadn't been paying attention to it. So that's what I call a missed opportunity. Okay, so when you go into a building, you also might want to pay attention to your general community spaces. Often I talk to principals about what's in the cafeteria, what's in the office. One example of that was another elementary school that had probably, I think, kids from 30 to 40 different countries in the school, many languages, a lot of immigrant students. And what they did in their cafeteria, which had been very plain, and many of you maybe have already done this, was simply to put the flags of all the kids, and they gradually built this collection of flags that would be hung as each new student came from a new culture. And as you walk in there, you honor the cultures of those kids. So this is the spaces and how the spaces reflect who the students are, who the teachers are, who the community is. So when you walk in that school, you get a sense of who lives there. Even if nobody's around, you get a feeling for that welcoming, that culture-safe space that my wife talked about in her classroom. So these are the first three principles now that we've looked